So hello everyone, we are back with conversations, and we have Neelam Batra Verma ji with us. Neelam Batra Verma is a known face in our community with her contributions in the world of South Asian magazines. One of the famous long-standing one was the Asian Outlook. She is also a known author, and one of her books is 1971, a war story, a real-time story. She has also written many articles and short stories for which she has been awarded by the Capilano University, and is also an emerging artist with the paint and brush. She is in the legal team of Government of Canada. Imagine, she wears different hats of creativity to the fields of extreme facts. So hello Neelam Batra ji, you're welcome. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Kamaljeet ji.
Thank you. So Neelam ji, you're such a wonderful person, and you have got such a broad spectrum of talent. I don't know where to start, but definitely one thing is there, that since we are all immigrants, I want to know what prompted you to move to Canada.
This was mainly family related because I married a marine engineer. And most of the time he was traveling. My husband had to leave the country for months together. Like that time he had contracts like for 6 months at a stretch. And initially it was all exciting because I would join him also for a month or two on the ship and sail around the world. That was pretty interesting. But then as you grow older, as you have kids and the kids start growing, they need a father figure.
Yeah.
So it's very kids to have the involvement of their father in their day-to-day lives, and not like he would come in like a guest for a month or two and then go back and the kids would forget who the father is.
Yeah.
So that because we lived in Delhi, for him to get a job in Delhi wasn't easy. Like there's no sea there, so there are no ships. So we had to move to either Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, and all those places. And we thought if we have to really move, then why not go to a better place where we can give a better future to our kids? So that's why we decided to come to Canada. And then now he's working for the BC Ferries, which means that he's home quite a lot.
Again with the sea.
They don't question easily.
Yeah. So what was it like when you were packing up things from back home and then taking the next leap, settling down here? Like, what was your expectancy coming to Canada, like when you were settling down here?
It was really difficult. I won't say it was easy.
Yeah.
Firstly, you come to Canada, it's not only a new place, new house, you buy new things. And the worst part was not having any support system. Like back in India, you have a nanny who will come and take care of the kids. You'll have your in-laws. You have someone to come and cook and clean and all those menial tasks, which all of a sudden landed on my shoulders. Yeah. It was really difficult to adjust to that life. And then, of course, professionally also your qualification is not recognized. You are sending out resumes here, there, everywhere. And then everyone is talking about Canadian experience, get that experience, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it was not easy. It was really difficult. My husband had to go back to the ship. And then again, for 6 months, I was here alone with the kids. But thankfully, I had made lots of friends. So it wasn't that difficult.
Yeah. So what was, the multicultural Canada feel like? Did you feel it was a multicultural Canada, or were there a few communities that you mainly interacted with?
Cultural wise, coming from Delhi, I didn't find a big shock. Yeah. Like it is almost the same as we have here. Like the kids speak English, the way they live. I mean, that wasn't a big shocker for me.
Yeah.
We have our Indian community is always there. And my kids were mostly in school, so they had all their friends were all multicultural. They were Chinese, they were, Europeans. They were.
Yeah.
It culturally, I didn't find any problem with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you have I've been watching you for so many years. I really follow you, and I know that you were writing at one time. You had a magazine, and then you wrote a lot of articles. Then you wrote a book. Then you moved into short stories as well, for which you have been commended a lot. And so how come, you manage doing all this, and you have a very different profession, it's an extreme profession, like I say. So how did it evolve, everything evolve?
See, writing was a passion for me. Back in India, I was working for Sahara, Indian Express, Giant Television. I was writing there. So that was a passion there. But then coming here, when I applied for a number of jobs here, like, of course, I was working with local community newspapers also. They did give me a chance to work here. But then again, it didn't give you satisfaction as much. So I thought, why not give myself my own Canadian experience?
Yeah.
Start having and publishing and editing my own magazine was one of my dream projects, which I always thought that one day I will do it. And I had thought about it back in India before we moved with a friend. So we were working on that project there. But then when we came here, so my husband said, why don't you start here? And the other thing was, I had to be home with the kids. The kids were little. They did not want to go daycare. My son, he was like 7 or 8 years old that time. He was a straight A student back in India. And when he came here, within a year, he went down to C minus, D, that every time I had, the teachers was calling me. And so my husband was also like, you have to do something where, you can spend more time with the kids at home. So that was also one of the reasons that I started this magazine, so I can spend more time with the kids and then I can have my own schedule. Because if you're working for someone else, then you're working for their schedule. Like they'll call you like 8 to 5, 7 to 3, 9 to 10, blah, blah. So having my own publication also helped me not only for my passion to continue, my passion of writing, but also spend more time with the children till they, grow up. And then I decided to take up this job with Government of Canada when my son went to high school. So I thought, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. So balancing and, your work and home and, taking care of the family responsibilities. Did you ever feel the pressure as compared back, when you were back home in India, like say Delhi, wherever you were staying, in different places?
Very stressful. It was very stressful. I couldn't sleep at nights. It's like so much work need to be done. Not only the housework and the kids, their activities, their homework, their entertainment, taking them out, cycling, skating, and top of that, my own magazine. And then without any help, I was doing my own articles, I was doing my own marketing, I was doing my own advertising, I was doing my own designing. I learned a lot, of course. Like I didn't have any support. I'd never designed a magazine digitally, never in my life.
Yeah.
But then I went on YouTube, I went on Google, I learned PageMaker, I learned different programs so that I could design my own ads, I could design my own magazine. I've never done marketing before. The magazine gave me an opportunity to learn how, to go out and ask for ads. But then that was also one thing which was very discouraging for me, because all the ads had to come from the Indian community mostly. And then you learned that how, your community really does not support you the way they say they will. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
to
so
have.
planning and investments were very key to this magazine, and where you had to take on the lead and be all one person, do it all, and you grew from there. It's
Mostly my
so,
husband is supportive, thankfully.
yeah.
So he did a lot of money in there. For the first 4 or 5 years, yes, we did very well. It had become very popular. Getting ads was not that difficult. And then, some recession. And then I needed a break too, because it month to month and no breaks. No, there are no breaks in this. And since you're doing all alone, every time I went to India, even to meet my parents, all I was doing was thinking about my magazine, about the next story, about the advertising, about the designing. Like it was rush, 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 and very stressful.
Yeah, yeah.
That is what I did. Okay, after 6 years, I've done what I wanted to do. One of my bucket list is done. So let's move ahead. So that's when I took up a job and um, just started freelancing.
Yeah, but you also had the magazine as a paper in the paper form as well, right? If I remember.
Oh yeah, it was a colorful magazine, half English and half Hindi, and this was also the first Hindi publication of Canada. Till then, there was not a single Hindi publication.
Oh, wow.
So my goal was to promote the language of Hindi here.
Yeah.
All the community said, "Oh yeah, it's a very good project. You should do it." Blah 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 blah. But then eventually, there was no support. I was mostly on my own.
Yeah, and in terms of contributions to the articles and all, were there any contributions from anybody, or was it only?
No, I had freelance writers who would write for me. I have in India who would do all my Hindi stuff.
Yeah.
So he'd give me all my Hindi stuff. I had good writers. I had writers in SFU, a professor who would write for us, a UBC professor, an emeritus professor, he wrote for us. So I had good freelancers.
Yeah, that's why it continued, even though it was a one-person show, but then it lasted quite a few years, many, many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then how did the novel evolve from there? I know that you also wrote a very beautiful novel that's based on a real life story, 1971, a war story.
That was a project, that was an article I was doing back in India. I did a series of articles where I had met the families of prisoners of war who did back. Like they know their families, their husbands, their fathers is alive. He's somewhere in the Pakistani jail, but the government didn't do anything. No one was doing anything for them. They were just running from pillar to post to get any kind of help they could from the government, but there was none. And that was the time when I got in touch with them, and for like 5 or 6 years I followed them, I talked to them, saw their kids grow up, how the women were suffering, how the kids were suffering. I had also talked to a lot of Congress leaders of the time, a lot of BJP leaders. Now unfortunately BJP is in power now, but they don't talk about it anymore, but that time they used to talk because Congress was in power. It's all political.
Yeah.
I got so involved in their lives that I wanted to write when I came here. The other thing was also just a couple of days before I moved to Canada, like before my flight, an Indian spy from Pakistan was released from jail, and he had come to and he had told me his story.
Okay.
And he wanted to write. And I promised him I will write. But in all this relocation and movement, I lost his contact. All that years, I was very guilty that I did not help him. I did not write about his story. I felt very guilty. So then I thought, okay, if I couldn't do that, maybe I'll put it in a fiction form and make it more historical, and put the facts together and weave the story in a fictional way to make it more interesting for people to read, so they not only understand the history of what happened, but make it a little more interesting. So that was my main purpose of doing that book.
Yeah, so were you able to contact this person, in between the spy, and is he aware that you finally got down?
I tried whenever I went to India, I tried, but could never find him.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes these things happen and it's okay. Someday you might still find him. You never know.
Yeah, but things got so emotional that they leave a mark in your heart somewhere, and you want to do something for them when you can't.
Yeah. And how did you feel the space, the flexible space you had within the family, or how did the children and your husband respond to your, taking time for your own creative work?
I don't have any problems with that. My husband is very supportive. He's always been very supportive. Uh, I started doing that book, like I've been writing here and there about the book. Sometimes, sometimes I'm on the bus, sometimes I'm at work, sometimes, at sleeping at night, I sleep with a pad under my pillow. So
Wow.
any idea, so I write it down, because when you wake up in the morning, it's all gone. So I had written the book, but it was all scattered all over the world. Like sometimes it's on my husband's computer, sometimes it's on my phone, and there's some stuff in another pad, or sometimes in the office. When my son went to university, so that was the time when I had a lot of time and I didn't know what to do. Because after being involved in their lives and doing everything for them all the time, I was so busy, and all of a sudden I had nothing to do. So I thought, we finished this book. And again, it took me, I think, 2 to 3 years, because in between my father passed away. And then at least for a year, I could not get myself to write anything, because, the emotions were too strong to overcome.
Yeah, putting things together must have been quite an effort, because you had, notes all over the place, like you mentioned, and putting them together in sequence, and, then creating a common thread from that.
Years to do this book. It was in my head. I had it in my mind. The story was being weaved in my mind. It's just putting it on paper.
Yes, absolutely. And then how come you started? Of course, you were writing articles, and then you started writing for Capilano University as well through a project.
No, Capilano, I started this paralegal course a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
So
that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. You're still studying again.
Yes, because, sometimes at work, your work is so monotonous. Every day, all you do is just repeat what you did yesterday or the day before. And the work becomes so monotonous, you're not using your brains, and it's not challenging enough. I was thinking maybe, my brain is going dead, like I'm too old. I wanted to challenge myself, to tell myself that I'm not that old yet. My brain still works. I can still remember things. I was just to challenge myself, to tell myself that I can still do it. There is still some steam left in me.
Yeah. So you've completed with the program now?
Yeah, I'm still doing it. It's summer break now.
Okay. Yeah, so you started writing stories over there again.
This was just a competition.
Okay.
My email that there's a competition being held by different universities, which includes Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and God knows all those, A-class universities, all of them. And for a few days, I just sat on that email. I thought it's an interesting thing. But then writing fiction, no, I can never write fiction. That's what, and that was in 7,000 words.
Wow.
After a novel, how can I write 7,000 words? Like, it was too much for me. It was again a challenge. And then I said, okay, let it go. I can't do it. Second day, third day, again, one night I couldn't sleep. And I got up and said, okay, like, I have nothing to do. This is not a good time. It was like midnight. And able to fall asleep. And I said, if I start the TV, then everyone is going to wake up. So I took out my computer and said, okay, let me start. Yeah. Let me do a story. Let's see if I can. And then I started writing. I started one. Then by the time, it was like 5,000 words, and then I was still not anywhere. Then I deleted that. Then I started again. At the end of the next 3 hours, I had a little story. And then I just sent it in. I said, fine, if I get it, it's fine. If I don't, like, who cares? It's not a big deal. So this, fortunately, they liked my story and I was the winner. I still don't know why.
Yeah, it was a very interesting and very breathtaking, actually. I read that, and it does stress you out in places, but very, very creatively done. Especially
again, it is based.
Can you say that again?
It is based on a true story.
Yeah, okay, yes. No wonder. Yeah, so how do you feel, like as a professional person in the field of, this legal field for the government of Canada, and your own personal self as a creative person, how do you compare the two? These are two extreme professions.
When you go to work in the morning with the government, you forget you're an artist or you want to do something else. Just forget about that. It's only on the weekends I take out my, paints and brushes, or it's only on my free time. Even right now, I write for NRI Diaspora magazine back in India, and then I also write for AsianNewsmakers.com.
Okay, that's
so keeps me busy.
Yes, yes. So tell me one thing, what would you say to women like me probably, who are always battling between, work and creative, life, how to strike a balance and what to do. Sometimes it is, okay, I need to complete my work. That's a technical aspect. I need to go ahead and do that. And then the hobby or the creative aspect gets left behind.
See, if it's in you, if you want to do it, if it's your passion, you will find time to do it. If you don't want to do it, you will keep procrastinating, saying, oh, not today, I'm too tired, no, I won't do it, maybe tomorrow, let's start tomorrow. Like, it's everything is in you. It's your willpower. You want to do, you're bent upon doing it, you will do it.
Yes, absolutely.
From inside you. This is not anything which can be inculcated, or this is not something which can be taught in a class or you learn. It's your own personality. That's what I think. Yes,
absolutely. I do understand, and I do agree to that to quite an extent. So it has been, really nice listening to you and talking to you. I'm just wondering, maybe next time we have some more time to, know more about the stories that you have written and learn. Let's see a little bit more of your painting aspect too. Now, I know that you have done some very good paintings, and in fact, there was a deer waiting outside in your garden one day, watching you paint.
He stayed all day that day.
Yeah. So yes, maybe next week, sometimes around the same time, we will have a short chat, know a little bit more from you. Like, I want to be encouraged. I'm sure many other women do. So
anytime.
Yeah, thank you for being there, Neelamji. I've known you for so many years, and I simply love your work, and I simply love you as a person. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.